Hi friends, welcome back to another edition of Chris Van Doodles. This is number 9. I can't believe we've already done 8. We're on to number 9, and today we're going to draw Jack from the If I Built books. He first appeared in If I Built a Car, which came out in 2005, 15 years ago. Then he showed up again in If I Built a House. There he is. And then last year he made another appearance in If I Built a School, the latest If I Built book. So there he is there. And we are going to try to draw him the best we can. It's kind of tricky. If we follow along, I think we might be able to do it. We may have to make some adjustments along the way. Let's start with a shape that looks kind of like an oval. So we're going to start with a shape that looks kind of like this. We're going to curve it up here like this. We're going to curve it around like this. And then we'll come back down and we'll just curve it around sort of like that. I got a little lopsided, but that's all right. We'll just finish it like that. So it's going to be something like that. This is going to be the shape of Jack's head. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, we may have to make some adjustments along the way, but that's fine. Now, let's do a slight curved line across his head that indicates the center line of his head. So this is the center line of his head. Again, he's going to be looking off to the left here a little bit, so that's why this line is slightly curved. It's not completely straight, it's slightly curved. And then we'll start over about here, and we'll do a line that comes across like that, and that'll be the center line of where his eyes go. So it looks kind of like a crosshair right there that goes across the circle. Now, right where these lines meet, that's going to be the very tippy top of Jack's nose. So we're going to come down the line a little bit, and then we're going to curve out. And then we're going to do a little line there. Again, draw lightly at first because we may have to make some adjustments, and we're going to come back like that. So that's going to be Jack's nose. And then if you want, you can add a little shadow underneath, but again, we'll come back and we'll darken those things as we go, right? Now, Jack usually has a big smiling mouth. So let's start like right next to the mouth, next to the end of the nose, and we'll put a little dot there, and it'll indicate the corner of his mouth. And let's curve it just right down here to the center line, back up here, opposite the nose to about there. And then we'll add the lower part of his mouth. So we'll have a big open mouth like this till it gets down the center point, and then it starts curving back up. Just like that. All right? It almost looks like a moon shape, doesn't it? All right, now, if we start here, we're going to follow this line, and we're going to indicate where his top teeth are. Usually you see his top teeth when he smiles. So we're going to do a line that goes across like that and just comes up like that. And then if you want to, you can just kind of darken the lower section, because that's where his open mouth is. So it's going to be something like that. Ooh, he already looks pretty happy, doesn't he? Now, right above this line, actually sort of, let's see, we're going to go right, if we follow this line of his mouth, curving right up like it's pointing an arrow. Right up here, we're going to add a circle, and this is going to be one of his eyes. Just a simple circle. It's slightly above the line, the center line, isn't it? Yeah, that's okay. Wherever you guys want to put it, that's fine. And then over here, I'm going to add another circle, just like that. Okay, so those are his eyes. They're going to be looking, see, I think I've got that one too far in, because his eyes are pretty wide set. So I'm going to move this one out just a little bit, like that. Yeah, that's better. Okay. And let's have him, again, looking that way. So we'll just add some dark pupils that look kind of like off like that. All right. That's starting to look like Jack. Pretty happy. Now let's see, let's add some eyebrows up here. His eyebrows are usually pretty high on his head because he's usually really excited about what he's showing his mom or his dad or his teacher. And so we'll put some eyebrows that just are sort of curved shapes that sit above his eyes like that, right? Now where this line comes up here, that's still going to be the center line, and now we're going to indicate where his hair is. Now let's go back to the book for a second. I want to show you. See how his hair kind of comes down to a point here? So we're going to draw a little point that comes down, and then we'll draw the hair coming up. So right about here, a little bit lower than the edge of the circle, find a point, and then we're going to do a curving line that goes up here and a curving line that goes back over here and joins the top of the circle. So that's where his hair comes down. Now, if you want to, at this point, you can get rid of some of these lines because we've used them and we don't really need them anymore. So we're going to get rid of some of these lines, and then we'll see more of his face. See what I mean? Yep. Oh, now let's go across and a little bit below center. Let's center of his head. Let's add his ears, and his ears are just these little cartoon ears that look like this. This one comes in a little bit because it's on this side of the head. This one's sitting on the other side of his head, so we don't see quite as much, but it maybe sticks out something like that. Right? Excellent. Okay, well, this is starting to look like Jack. Now, where this line came in, let's go back to this ear, where the top of the line came in. We're going to do a curved line that goes up and joins where these lines meet, right here, okay? So watch, I'm going to do a slightly curved line that looks like this. And that's going to be the side of his hair. And we'll do this a little bit later on. Now let's do the same thing over here. We're not going to see as much because his face is turned a little bit, so we're going to start at the top of his ear here, and we're going to do a slight coming in like that, just a little bit, and it's going to join up there. So this little black section here will be his hair on this side of his head. Right? Yeah, that looks like Jack. All right, now let's come back to this picture. Let's come back to this point for a second. And this is the point where his hair comes down his forehead, and then we're going to do a curving line that goes up here. And this is the start of his hair. He has this spiky hair that kind of goes every which way. You can make it really whatever you want to do. But I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to do this zigzaggy line that kind of fades in, and it's going to be kind of follow something like that. So watch this. See that little line there that I did? Now I'm going to go, and you have to make the noise, guys. You have to make the noise. There we go. Something like that. All right? So that's going to be his hair. Over here, it's going to do the same thing, but it's going to fade to about that point. So it's going to be something like that. And it can be anything you want to. If you want to make it a little bit longer, of course, everybody's hair is a little bit longer these days, isn't it? So let's make his hair a little bit longer. He needs a haircut like we all do, so we'll just kind of make it do whatever it wants to do. Right. Now let's slightly darken this in because this, again, is going to be the dark of his side of his head, his hair. And we'll put a little zigzag that looks like hair on the side of his head, like that. And then he usually has two hairs sticking out right at his part, and one goes whoop, and one goes like that. Right? Excellent. Now let's come back here and we'll darken up some of these bottom lines here, the bottom of his head. And we're going to bring this up a little bit. I have this a little bit too wide, so I'm going to bring this in a little bit like that. And I think this one's a little bit too wide too, so I'm going to bring this one a little bit in here because he doesn't have that big a chin. So it's going to be something like that. Oh, we can add those little lines in the ear too that look like the little creases in the ear. All right, now if you want to, at this point, you can darken up some of these lines. Even just running my hand over this drawing has kind of faded out some of these because I've kind of, smudged some of these. So I'm going to just darken up some of these lines because I think they're pretty good, about as good as I'm going to get them, I think. And it indicates where his nose is and things like that, and his eyes. Well, let's darken his eyes a little bit. He looks pretty happy. Wonder what he's building this time. What do you think? All right, so there's his head. Now we're going to come down here and we're going to add his neck. And his neck is just going to be two little lines like this. Not very long. His neck's not very long. It's going to be something like that. And it's just going to come down a little bit, and then we're going to indicate his collar. And his collar is going to look like a shallow U shape. So if you do a line that looks like this, and then make it a little bit thicker like this. Oh, there's my dog. My dog's in the studio with me today, Opal. She's whining. I think she wants to go out. And we'll add a little shadow underneath that indicates a shadow under his chin on his neck. Something like that. All right, now let's have him sort of gesturing. So right here, almost where, actually, let's put it right where these two lines meet. I'm going to erase some of these so you guys can see better. All right, so see where this collar meets his head? Right at that point, we're going to bring a line that goes like this. Just straight up. Actually, let's curve it all the way. Let's slightly curve it up like this. That's going to be his arm. And then over here opposite, just a little bit below, we're going to bring a line that curves down like this. So we'll go like this. That'll be his other arm. Again, he's gesturing maybe to his mom or dad or his teacher or someone he's showing. Now let's come back up here. We'll indicate where his sleeve is. It'll be just a little bit further out from the side of his head. Not much, but maybe about there. And we'll do a curved line that goes down like this. It'll curve back like this. And that'll be his top sleeve. Down here about the same distance, we'll do a line that looks like this. Again, sort of curved. And then it curves up, so it would join that if we went right across, see? All right, now we'll curve the body down here a little bit like this, and like this, and we can indicate the bottom of his shirt like that. Just simple shapes at this point. Let's come back up and finish this arm. His arm's not as wide as his shirt, so it's going to be about halfway, and it's going to come up here. And then up here, I'll show you how to draw a hand, an easy way to draw a hand. Let's just lightly draw a circle, just as kind of a circle right in there, okay? That's going to be his palm. Now let's darken this part of the circle, and then let's do a little bump up here for thumb. And then let's see, we will do his fingers, which come out like this. And again, this will be the crease where his fingers meet his palm. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll curve this line back in. So that's how you draw a hand. And then there's usually a little line that looks like that and a little line that comes down from the thumb like that. Let's go over here and finish this hand. About halfway down, we're going to come down. About halfway up from the sleeve, we're going to come down. And then we're going to draw another circle down here that looks kind of like this. This will be the back of his hand, right? This time his thumb will be down at the bottom, so his thumb will come down like this. And then maybe we'll spread his fingers out a little bit further this time. So we'll go like 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Excellent. Now let's put his stripes on his shirt. We have his collar. His collar's red. Let's finish this. Where this line comes up right here, right in his armpit, let's continue this line right up and curve up to his shoulder. Hang on, Opal. I'm almost done, and then we'll go for a walk. And then we'll do the same thing over here. We're going to curve the line up like this. So that's where his sleeves are, and that's where the body of his shirt is. If we come in a little bit, like this, that'll be his first stripe on his shirt. We can darken that in. And then down here, we'll follow this line, and that'll be his second stripe on his sleeve. Same thing over here. We'll come in a little bit, darken it. This will be the stripe on his sleeve. Up here, and this will be the stripe on his sleeve. So the stripes on his sleeve go that way, but the stripe on his body is going to go this way. So about halfway up here, we're going to draw a line that connects across here, and it's going to be slightly curved down because it's kind of following the contour of his body. And so we'll curve it like this. That'll be stripe number 1. If you want to color these would be red. At least they are in the book, but they can be any color you want. It doesn't have to be red. And then we'll come down about here. We'll do the second stripe, which will be like this. Again, slightly curved down so it shows the form of his body. And the last one tucks right into the bottom of his shirt like that. Now we have to show the inside of this sleeve, so where this one curves like this, down at the bottom, we're going to curve it back like that. So you're almost like looking up his sleeve into his shirt. And you can add a little shadow in there if you want, right? Now the last thing we'll do is we'll just do a little indication of his body. We won't do his whole body, but this is his pants coming down, and we could just kind of do some cross-hatching that shows those pants. All right? Now we can add a little bit of detail with some of the shadows, so we can add a little shadow on the bottom of his arms. We can add that little bit of texture, a little bit of shading on his cheeks and his nose to make it look a little bit more dimensional. I think I've got this hair a little bit too wide here, so I'm going to bring some of that in. You can make the adjustments as you go. I still think he needs more hair, don't you? Yeah, I think so. So we'll make his hair a little bit higher. We'll add a little bit of shadow underneath here in the bottom of his chin. And then maybe where his head is shadowing on his shirt, we'll put a whole shadow under there too, which sort of indicates that his head is sitting above his shirt, just like that. All right. That is pretty much Jack right there. Jack from If I Built a Car. I'm thinking that this has come out a little bit too. So he was a little bit trickier to draw. I hope you guys did well. I'm sure you probably did. If you want to share your drawings with me, I would love to see them. You can either put them on Facebook or you can put them on Instagram, and I'll take a look at them. And I think next time I got a request to draw the giant robot from Randy Riley's really big hit. So I think that might be Chris Van Dusen's number 10. Until then, Jack says bye, and we will see you next time. Stay well.